everybody and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are doing the long-awaited notebook flip through. This is a video that has been very much requested on my channel. I don't really know why, but I think it's gonna be very fun to film, so why not? You can see we've got two notebooks here. This is the first notebook that I used when I first started doing Chinese. If you don't know, I started learning Chinese in January 2024 and I originally started out on Duolingo, and then I found out that my university offers on-campus like extracurricular classes, so I signed up to those as well. And then this notebook I actually started when I first started in my studygram, because I was like, no, these notes are really ugly, I need to, you know, kind of step it up a notch. So that's what this book is for. But we're gonna look through this one first. So the time span that I'm gonna give, I'm gonna say that this one was January, and then this one is kind of until July, because to be honest, I've not done much Chinese in August. It was mostly like practice tests and flashcards for my HK2 exam. So really it's about a 6/7 kind of difference between the beginning of this book and the end of this book. A lot of people say that they get motivated by my channel, and you know, that's very sweet. Hopefully I can also show you how I actually structure my notes, because I feel like I've developed a way that's very useful for me, and although it's a very personal preference, you know, if you're struggling, maybe you can get some inspiration from this as well. So yeah, this is my very first page. This stuff, I believe I did it myself, maybe, because you can see here class 1, I've kind of got it divided by my classes, but yeah, I mean, these are just the basics. Like, look at this lettering. It is not, it's not giving. What is that? What is that? Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say. You can see here that I've got some notes on the stroke order and radicals. I'm not going to go into that in this video. We've just got some vocab from my classes. Look at this hehe, like, what is that? I will say, the pen that I used, it was initially just like a biro pen. I think it was literally like this one. And then I ended up, I mean, I'll show you later, but I did end up moving to kind of like a fine line pen in this one, and I much prefer that. I mean, at this point, I wasn't really trying to make it look very nice. You know, I was still a very, very kind of raw beginner at this stage. I'd only been learning for a couple of weeks, so it really just was not my priority. Plus, at this point, I genuinely was not intending on showing anybody. Look at that. What is that? Like, these notes genuinely were for my eyes only, and I'm not saying that I then kind of only started making them look nice, you know, for the sake of showing them to other people. Like, I've always had really nice notes in school. I was one of those that would love to do those fancy titles. Like, yes, that was me. For Chinese though, I was aware that at such a beginner stage my writing was not going to look good, so I just didn't want to put the pressure onto myself of making it look really nice and aesthetic, because I knew it was not going to look nice at this stage. I just knew. We've got a little introduction. I mean, to be honest, I might remake this page in my current book, obviously with my updated knowledge of vocabulary. At this stage, actually, I think I was using Duolingo quite a lot. Like, this food content was from Duolingo. Yeah, class 9. So by this point, my first semester of classes had ended, and you know, I was just kind of doing my own work. I was doing Duolingo. I'm going to talk more about the structure of my notes in my second notebook, because that's where I actually started putting effort into the structure. You know, this is kind of more like a general overview. And then we've got these. I will say that the main kind of thing when it comes to notes is literally just practice. Practice, practice, practice. You know, the only reason why I can see an improvement in my notes is because, you know, I made so many notes. These post-it notes, basically, when I do Duolingo, I like to make post-it notes with, like, you know, vocabulary and the opinion or translation or whatever that I then want to go and put in on an actual page. So that's what that is. But yeah, this is my very first book. This lasted me, I'd say like 3 months. This is about 3 months worth of work, and that's extracurricular classes plus Duolingo. Plus my own kind of little bits of research when I wanted to understand the topic deeper. And then I think in April or something, I started my studygram, and I took a picture of one of my recent pages, and I was like, nah, this ain't gonna work. Like, it just wasn't cute. And I was like, if I'm gonna post them for anyone to see, I want them to look, you know, cute. And that's just a personal preference. You absolutely do not have to make your notes look absolutely amazing if you want to have a studygram. Like, that is just my personal preference. But it also helps me to put a bit more effort into it. I started out, actually, let me show you. I used this pen initially, and this is the Uni Pen Fine Line 0.5 millimeters. However, as time went on, it kind of, you probably can't see on camera, but it got thicker. So these are the pages when I first started using it, and then these are the pages as time went on. Like, you can see a clear difference between the thickness. And when it became this thickness, I didn't like it because I felt like my characters were very messy. I needed a fine line pen, which is when I started using my Muji one. But we're getting ahead of the game here. So this is around April time. Okay, and when I first started this notebook, my main priority was just kind of bringing everything in from this notebook, you know, kind of all of the useful pages. I wanted everything in one place. When I was in class, I wanted to be able to just kind of flip back into one notebook rather than carrying loads with me. And yeah, I mean, you can already see that my writing is a lot better than it was in the old one. However, as I said, with this pen that I was using, I found it very difficult to kind of do intricate characters. You know, maybe like Wo was fine, or Hangor, you know, it's not too bad, but the more intricate ones were just, it was very difficult for me. But overall, I mean, I don't think it's too bad. It's just a personal preference that didn't really like how thick it was. This is my page on time and numbers. This was during my HSK1 exam, and I really struggled with time, and to be honest, I still do. I should probably review it. So what I wanted to show you in terms of the structure of my notes, I mean, you might have already noticed it as we've gone along, but basically my basic structure is to have like a section for the vocab. So this was actually, this was a Duolingo topic. So I have a list of vocab here, and then, you know, kind of any notes, you know, that I want to mention. And then I have a section just with like practice sentences that kind of show how to use the vocabulary. And generally speaking, I mean, at this point, this was HSK1, so I did still use the pinyin. However, when possible, I would try and not use the English translation. So it's like English, 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 and then for these ones I didn't, so it's like 第二正态在这里，对不对? So the second platform is here, right? 哎呀，这不是我的正态. Oh no, this isn't my platform. So, you know, these kinds of words and sentences and phrases, as soon as I know what they are and I'm confident with them, I do not use the English, because I find that when I use the English, girl, you know, I rely on it a little bit too much. So this is just my HSK vocab list, which I will say is pretty useful, especially because I've got like, for my HSK1 exam, I attended like these HSK drop-in sessions on campus. So whenever we were doing like an exam, it was just quite useful to go back on this, you know, if I needed a quick HSK specific word. And then this is when I started doing graded readers. Listen, I mean, I really like graded readers. However, I started just kind of copying the whole text down, and this is not a good way to do it, simply because it gets really, not necessarily repetitive, but it's just doing too much, you know, unless, like, it's good to practice your handwriting kind of doing it this way. However, if you're actually trying to memorize words, then it's just too much all at once. Like, you're not gonna remember much. And then here I went and translated it all, and it's like, I'll just skip ahead and I'll show you how I do it now. But basically, the main structure that I follow when I'm doing graded readers, I mean, I've talked about it so much on my channel, guys, but on my iPad, I'll go and I'll actually translate everything on my iPad, and then I'll highlight the words and phrases that I want to copy down into my notebook, and I'll show you where I've done that. So here, for example, this is one chapter, right? I mean, that's one chapter, this is one chapter. You can see here, I've just got like sentences. It is not just a chunk of text. I've written down the sentences that I found to be, you know, kind of noteworthy. And then I've highlighted the particular words or kind of structures that I wanted to kind of remind myself of. So for me personally, that is how I do graded readers. If you do it differently, then that's absolutely fine, but that's just me personally. These are just my personal notes. And then here, this is when I started doing my classes again. Then here's a Duolingo page. Another graded reader. This was another graded reader, but it had a very short dialogue, so I actually just wrote it all down. So actually, at this point, this is when I started using my Muji pens, I believe. You can see that the lines are a lot thinner than like this page, for example. They're a lot thinner and I think a lot neater. Again, that is just personal preference, but I do really prefer a thinner pen. I just think it allows me to be a lot more precise with my writing, which, you know, when the characters are quite detailed, I think that's very important. And then, yeah, there's my HSK2 vocab list. Again, it's, you know, it's nothing special. I think also, though, writing down the vocabulary kind of reinforces it into your head. So that's another thing to consider. I started actually doing, like, a HSK2 grammar page, and I didn't finish it in time for my exam, but I think I will go back to this as I consolidate my HSK2 knowledge. And I used a website, I'll put it on the screen, I can't remember what it was, but I just typed in HSK2 grammar points and so many websites popped up, so that's what I started using for this one. So that's another graded reader. And this is another graded reader. However, for this one, I specifically wanted to practice my handwriting, so I wrote the whole thing out. And let me tell you, my hands were cramping by the end of it. Like, I don't know if I'd do it again, to be honest. For this particular page, I specifically went through and I found the HSK2 vocab that I wanted to focus a little bit more on. So you can see like 这, which is a continuing action or state, 正在, 一起, 过. So yeah, that's another good way to use graded readers to consolidate your HSK specific vocabulary. On this page, I talked about it on my Instagram. However, for this, basically, I went through this list of vocab, of HSK vocab, and I just picked some words out that I wanted to focus a little bit more on, and I just made up sentences. You can see there's no pinyin, and that is because I tried to use words that I already knew. Of course, a couple of times I had to go into Pleco, you know, maybe look up a word or two, but for the most part, I did try my best to kind of create the sentences in my own head. And this is a fantastic way to consolidate, you know, your kind of previous HSK level vocab and combine it with the new stuff. 我最喜欢的样子是黑色. My favorite color is black. 谢谢你的帮助. Thanks for your help. You know, I've really just tried to consolidate my knowledge on all fronts, we'll put it that way. But yeah, I mean, from this point on, I had my exam and then I went on holiday, so I just, you know, I've not done much since then. That is just kind of a walkthrough of my notes. Let's compare the first page and the last page, just out of interest. Like, okay, this one, for example. I think and I hope there is a clear difference. So this is from January, and then this is from like July, August. If you're gonna take anything away from this video, it's simply that, you know, Chinese is all about practice. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any other video requests, then feel free to, you know, just comment them or DM me. By the way, these notebooks are from TK Maxx. It's my absolute favorite place to buy notebooks, and I have too many. So, you know, great. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!